welcome to episode number 68 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. I'm Liesbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is usually all about knitting, sewing, spinning, weaving, basically all of the fiber crafts that I feel like. Although this week it's been mostly sewing, or actually the past 2 weeks, because yet again last week our schedule just got so busy on the Saturday that there wasn't any time to record. So I have decided that I'm not going to be as strict anymore with the deadline for me for uploading the podcast. That might make it easier to keep it a weekly thing, but then the chances are that the podcast is going to go live on a Sunday maybe, or on Saturday. Of course, you guys are all over the world, so what's still a Saturday for me might already be Sunday for you. I don't know if you're a bit ahead of time, so I'm not going to focus on that 7 p.m. European Standard Time, or it's winter. No, it's still summertime. By the end of this month, we're going to shift. Anyway, my brain is going to make a mess of this. Anyway. So last week I have shown you that last time I showed you that I had started on knitting this Flax Light sweater, and now it is completely finished. And I think it looks a lot of fun. Just after the sleeve separation though, there was this major bit of pooling, so here you can see it quite clearly that there's a lot of color that is right on top of each other, and I decided that it would be better to alternate skeins for the rest of the body. And then you can still see that there's this gray stripe that is kind of pulling around the sweater, but that's just because apparently there's more gray than there's color in a round of yarn, and it just happened to turn out that way. But I really like the look of this. And the yarn that I used is a BFL nylon, and it is by Schaap en Draak, which is a Dutch indie dyer. And they do now have a small web shop, I believe. I don't think they had that when I bought this yarn, which was probably October last year. I still need to look up when exactly, because during that same event I also bought some other yarn, and this one maybe from a later event. I don't know, but anyway, this is a BFL nylon blend, 75% BFL and 25% nylon, and it's soft yarn, 425 meters per 100 grams, and there is a number, but I believe that this color, or maybe this base, is Sokdraak. I'm not 100% sure. I think there was something like dark unicorn tails or something that was the color. So this funky color. And I do still have quite a bit of leftovers, so I am probably going to knit some kind of hat out of that. And I did start a new knitting project, but I want to keep that a secret for now. I don't feel like I can talk about that yet, but I hope to be able to share that with you soon. Spoiler, it's not a baby knit. So, it's a bit sad that basically the only thing that I worked on that is not completely baby related is something that I cannot share at this moment. And that is already all for the knitting content that I have to share for the past 2 weeks, so that's not a lot. But I do have some sewing content. So last week I've shown you this skirt that wasn't finished, and as you can see, it's still not finished. I have thought of a way that I may be able to make this a skirt that could work. And I know that this is going to be quite difficult to see, but you can see a line here, I think, from the top stitching, because that's a contrasting color, which will be somewhat easier to see on the camera. But there's a tricot or jersey part on top, and it's jeans fabric below. But even though this skirt doesn't really seem to work out as well as I had hoped it would, and I believe mostly because the belly part starts way too low. So when I just held it, this line under the curve of my belly, under the curve of my baby bump, yeah, I felt like this was going to be a very short skirt. And now, of course, that's something that can still be fixed. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I can lengthen the skirt. I still have a little bit of fabric left over, and it should be enough to at least lengthen the skirt a little bit. But that's not going to be as pretty as just making a new skirt. So I thought I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this. So I just looked at another maternity skirt pattern, and this one came from the Knippie magazine of this year, which I managed to get a hold of. And I used a part of that skirt and a part of the 2004 skirt that I had already used in the previous part, and I used the Delphine skirt again, but this time I put the waistline a little bit higher, and I have used blue jeans fabric for this one, and I have worn it, so if it's a bit wrinkly, then that's why. But I made a new skirt, and this one is completely finished, and I have worn it, so there you go. But you can see that if I hold the waistline bits, or at least on the front side, together, that there's a difference in length. Let me just try to line this up. So if I just hold them together, you can see that the black fabric comes about 2 inches higher than the blue fabric, and this still needs to be hemmed, so you still need to turn over at least a little bit to get a nice smooth edge at the bottom. And I already feel like this skirt is slightly on the short side, and especially because I'm mostly going to be pregnant throughout the winter months, because I'm due end of February, and next year is leap year, yay. And so yeah, I felt like a bit of extra length wouldn't do any harm. I also changed the back side quite significantly, so there's no more back waistband that is also jeans fabric. I made that jersey fabric as well. I used the same black for the back because I just had a lot of black jersey fabric lying around. I was intending to make a lot of like undergarments, like shirts, like sleeveless shirts, and maybe some underpants for out of this fabric for myself, but it works perfectly fine as a neutral color for a maternity skirt as well. But I decided to make the back side one piece and just leave out the zipper entirely, because I found another pattern, and well, you will probably not be able to see this very well, but on the top side there is a line of stitching, so there is a tunnel all along the top side, both on the front side and the back side. And on one side I've left that open, and you can definitely see that there's some elastic coming out of here. So I have this button band elastic, and you can see that I do have a button in here. This is a special type of button, and I'm not sure if I can show you properly, but this is kind of a button that is two-sided. It's not attached to the fabric, and it just holds the piece of elastic together. But maybe if my belly is going to expand a bit more at some point in the future, and it's likely to happen, but I'm not sure if this will make me need another size of elastic. I can just take the button or the elastic off the button and then just adjust it to whatever size that I feel like I need at that moment. This is a pretty old button band elastic. I think my mom may have used it back when she was pregnant, and well, I do have 2 younger siblings, but like my youngest sibling is 2.5 years younger than me, so it must have been quite a while since she's last used it. Anyway, So, but it's still stretchy, so it still works, and I don't see why I wouldn't reuse it. And yeah, I felt it was very nice to just have a jeans skirt again. And I had a pattern that worked, and that was very nice, and it was pretty easy. So I really like this, and it's well, basically the skirt that I always wear as kind of my uniform. Not today, because this morning I had pregnancy yoga, so I'm wearing some sports pants now, which are luckily stretchy enough that they still kind of fit. Anyway, and otherwise there's only other pregnant women and the teacher there, so they know the struggles. Anyway, so yeah, it was really nice to be able to wear something that looks just like a normal skirt but fits well over my belly. And this is entirely a double piece of fabric now, and I believe that's a change compared to this skirt as well, but that means that my belly is nice and warm, and the weather has definitely been cooling down. We are about to turn on the heater in our house again because it's dropping below 18 degrees Celsius in our house, especially in the mornings. And yeah, I feel like you do need some temperature in your house to stay comfortable. Although I'm all in favor of putting on a warm sweater first and wrapping myself in blankets and everything. Anyway, so then I had one skirt that worked, and I do really like it, but one skirt is not going to get me to the end of my pregnancy. So I decided to make a second one. And the one thing that I really was missing with this skirt is pockets, because I always, when I go out, I tend to misplace my phone and my keys. So I need one pocket for my phone and one pocket for my keys, and there was none in this skirt, so I decided to try and hack it again and add some pockets. So I did that, and I made this skirt this week, which is also completely finished and has also been worn already. And it has pockets, you guys. I love pockets in skirts. And there's a bit of a fun fabric here with the little seahorse pattern. It's a bit upside down now that I'm trying to show you. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I always like to use, well, bits of leftovers from other projects to use in my pocket linings. So yeah, I'm thrilled with this skirt. So it's a combination of at least 4 different patterns so far, because it's the Delphine skirt from Tilly and the Buttons that's used for the shape of the skirt. And then there is the pocket, and I can't remember from which pattern it came. And then there's 2 different maternity skirts that I've hacked together, and now I do have a wonderful pattern to make myself some more maternity skirts, which I probably will do. And they're likely also going to be blue jeans, because I have, well, almost run out of the black jeans fabric, and I might buy some more because I really do like the black jeans fabric. But blue jeans are fine too. So, and I don't think it's necessary to simply buy more fabric if I don't really need it. But who knows? I may have different plans for the rest of the fabric and buy some black jeans fabric. Anyway. But yeah, this one also has the bottom band elastic. This is the new one, and it still has like, it was taped together around a bit of cardboard. You can still see the messy edges here because it didn't go out with the first washing. So it has been washed one time, but it has also been worn again. So yeah. Still, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Yeah. And I think at least 2 skirts is going to get me quite a way through my pregnancy. And I hope that they will continue to fit all throughout pregnancy, because we will see how much my belly will grow, but it's likely to continue to grow quite a bit more. Anyway, yeah, I believe that's basically all that I've been up to. It's been quite sewing heavy, but that's basically because that's one of the things that I have a major need for now. Because, well, sewing clothes is just going to be a lot faster, and I just need, I basically need all of the staples for my wardrobe. And last year I've been sewing like regular clothes for myself, or maybe even the past 2 years I've been sewing clothes for myself, and it's very nice to be able to sew for yourself, but I always had store-bought clothes that I could use in between, so if I didn't do my laundry fast enough, then it was okay because I still had clothes. But those clothes, basically none of them still fit, except for some sports bands, and I just don't always want to be wearing sports bands. So yeah, the more stretchy jeans fabric skirts that I had, they still kind of fit, and they are still kind of an alternative to these maternity skirts, but this just, it just feels so much nicer around my belly. So yeah, it's, I just need more maternity clothes because, you know, I'm pregnant. Hey, anyway, so I think that's everything. If anyone has any questions about how I combine these patterns, I would be willing to share which patterns exactly I did use. Now, I do think it's going to be extremely difficult to find these patterns exactly, but I think I could give like parts of it as instructions if anyone of you feels like they also need something like this for making maternity clothes, because there is an extreme lack of clothes out there, or patterns for pregnant women. So you can look for A-line dresses or something like that, but it's not really enough what is out there, and a lot of it is outdated. And now I'm not saying that it's necessary to, you know, change your wardrobe every year or something like that. I definitely don't do that myself, but well, there is a part of me that is happy that I don't have to wear 90s clothes. Although probably there are some things from the 90s that are hot again, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that was all that I had to share with you, and I want to thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope to see you again next week. And yeah, don't worry if the podcast is not out there at 7 p.m. on a Sunday, on a Saturday. My brain is also not working as well as it used to. Anyway, so I hope to see you again next week. Bye!